9:03 on Friday, November 1st. We've got 66 degrees now. Breezy and warm this afternoon. Highs around 80. With a slight chance of rain this morning. Good morning, I'm Michelle Basch.
And I'm Kyle Cooper. The top local stories we're following for you this hour on WTOP. Election 2024. Some registered voters in Maryland have received a letter threatening to expose them if they don't vote. Now state leaders are taking action. Here's WTOP's Neil Augenstein.
Entitled Voting Report Card, the unsolicited mailers and follow-up texts are coming from the Center for Voter Information and Voter Participation Center. The letters remind registered voters that who they vote for is private, but whether or not they vote is public record, and that they plan to share a report after the election of those who didn't vote. Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown has sent a cease and desist letter. He says the communications threatening tone runs afoul of Maryland law, which not only prohibits trying to suppress voting, it also restricts inappropriate attempts to compel it. The groups tell Maryland Matters that the letters have proven successful in increasing turnout. Neil Augenstein, WTOP News.
In Virginia, voters are seeing a yes or no question on the ballot. WTOP's Nick Iannelli takes a look at what it would do if it passes.
It's a Virginia state constitutional amendment related to tax relief for military families. It would expand a property tax exemption for surviving spouses of soldiers who've died in the line of duty. Currently, those tax exemptions are only for spouses of veterans who were killed in action. State Senator Jeremy McPike.
We afford property tax exemptions for those families that have members that were killed in action, but what we don't have is those that died in the line of duty.
He says the amendment would close a loophole because currently if someone dies in the line of duty, for instance in a training exercise, it isn't classified as killed in action, and
their surviving spouse does not qualify.
Nick Iannelli, WTOP News.
A trial has been scheduled for July in the case of a former Southern States employee charged in a deadly home explosion in Sterling. Loudoun Now reporting that the 3-week jury trial is set for Roger Bentley after the February blast that killed one volunteer firefighter and injured 13 others. Bentley reportedly inspected a leak in the 500-gallon underground tank prior to the explosion and decided to let the tank leak out the remaining propane. Several firefighters were trapped in the debris when the propane ignited. Bentley has been released on an unsecured bond and is prohibited from dispensing propane until after the trial.
The arrest of a man at Dulles Airport spotlights a scam that features fake cash, money washing, and in this case, felony forgery charges. Here's WTOP's Kate Ryan.
If someone offers to sell you authentic U.S. currency that's not green, give it a hard pass. Lauren Colgan with U.S. Customs and Border Protection is the Assistant Port Director at Dulles Airport and explains the so-called black money scam.
They'll say, oh, customs officials can't detect it because it's dyed black. And then what they'll do is they'll either sell the victim additional chemicals or coach them how to wash the currency to quote-unquote reveal the allegedly authentic currency. And by the time the person realized they were scammed, that fraudster is in the wind.
Wednesday night, 50-year-old Tuma Thierry Henry, who is from Indonesia, was arrested at Dulles. According to officials, he'd arrived from Togo with $28,500 of fake $100 bills that had been dyed black. He's now facing felony forgery charges. Kate Ryan, WTOP News.
Yesterday was one of the warmest Halloweens seen on record in our region. But will this warm pattern stick around? Here's 7 News First Alert meteorologist Brian Vandegraff.
Well, not really. Into the weekend, we'll see some cooler air returning to the metro area, taking us back to a more seasonal feel. However, we do see trends of milder air heading into November. In fact, Election Day could once again bring temperatures back to 80. At some point, it'll level out. Average 64. These numbers that we're seeing in the 70s and even 80s, way above where we should be for this time of year.
Yesterday's high, by the way, was 83 degrees. That's almost 20 degrees above average.
Coming up here on WTOP.
Apple's iPhone bounces back. I'm Brendan Hazelton.
Oh, don't say bounce an iPhone. That's not a good idea.
If it's a pillow, it's fine.
Well, I just did it this morning on the floor, and it wasn't so good.
Avoid the toilet.
Traffic and weather in 30 seconds.